I'm here to tell you about systems. Okay, so who sees systems something like that? Sort of a bit grey and boring, let's talk softly and in a boring voice. Who looks at systems as being the dull part of the job, the business? Anyone? Single that man out, please. For dealing with later. Okay, some people do see systems like that. I want to just reposition that a little bit. Who has a business? Okay, everyone in the room, good, effectively. What makes your business work? Systems. Whether they are formalized or whether they're just in your head, they are systems. This is how we do this. Are there any people called Mary Ann in the room? Good. So Mary Ann just joined us last week, and Mary Ann says, how do I do this? And you tell Mary Ann, how do I do it? And you see she's making a little bit of an error there. Here, let me show you. How many times do you want to do that before you say, I'm sure I've showed her or told her how to do that before? Okay? So if you don't want to do that, you need something that formalizes what you do, captures it, and says, yes, Mary Ann, have a look at the internet, or have a look at this folder, or this sheet, or this poster on the wall, or something. For me, that's a system. But we'll go a little bit further into that. Before we start, I just want to focus on you. So, when you were at high school and you were given an assignment to do, who was this person? This is effort. Who sort of did a little burst of effort, maybe a little bit along the way, and then you do another finishing off effort, and it's done. Who was that? None of us didn't. One of us. There you go. Thank you. Who was this person? I did a big bit at the beginning, practically nothing, a couple little spurts when I felt guilty, and then finish it off at the end. Happy. Okay, good. Who was this person? I open the book, I read the questions, I answer the questions, I mark it all up, and I've finished and I hand it in. Who was that person? I didn't expect to see any either. Who was this person? Okay? Maybe a little bit at the front, just so you feel good about it. You don't do another thing until the night before, and boom, boom. I once made a recorder fully functional out of bamboo, and the idea came on the way home from college the night before. I thought, shit, what am I going to do? There's some bamboo. And I took bamboo, cut it, did the holes, tuned it, I filmed the whole thing with a 6x4 camera. Okay, did all that, published the film, put it all there, typed onto the 12x10 photos, took it to school, to college, and got an A+. Everyone else who'd been doing this and this and this were less than pleased, but that's my style. Now, is that style going to do you well in business? No. And the point is that we are the same kids we were running around the playground in primary school. The same things that motivated you then motivate you now. Is that a fair comment? If we wanted to please the teacher, wanted to please dad, wanted to please mum, whatever it was, wanted to please our friends, we are still that person. We just mask it a little bit more effectively now. So if you were this person or this person or this person in high school, you are most likely that person now. So if this is you, and most of us are, okay, business starter-uppers, entrepreneurs, most of us are this. If this is you receiving an order and you don't do it till the end, how good is your fulfillment? Not as good as it could have been if we'd done something differently, correct? What do systems do? They help you modify your natural behavior to make it automatic to do the right thing. That's what systems help you overcome things like that. So I'm going to leave it there. Just a little word for thought. Okay, so let's just have a little look at this. My name is John Tonkin. You know that. Okay, all we do in Brain in a Box is systems, once we've learned out how to operate the thing, which is turned on. Okay, oh, it just re-sparked itself. No, it still doesn't like me. Oh, isn't that good? Okay. I have one in the front right-hand pocket in my bag, if you're looking from the back. Okay, so let's go here. So all we do is systems. So Brain in a Box does nothing but help businesses every day of the week on their systems. So yesterday and the day before, I was in Brisbane working with Sin City Rims. They do wheel rims, tyres, and all things like that. The week before that, I was working with a company that helps businesses, great big factories and things, to replace the inefficient lighting and air conditioning and so on to make it more efficient, and they earn energy credits from the government. A very different business. The week before that, I was working in a law practice, etc., etc. Everything. So I work with a lot of different businesses. There are a few of them. And that's about the last 2.5 years, nearly 3 years worth. Each one of those is a week-long engagement. You get to know the business very, very well, and we work on their systems. And you'll see how that works, because that's what I'm showing you today. Okay, so, and it still doesn't work. I'll put it away. Okay, so, I know what I mean when I think of systems. What comes to your mind when somebody says, yep, we've got great systems? What comes to mind straight away, please? You can call out. Could everyone just test their buzzers, please? Just test them. They've got a couple. Okay. Thank you, sir. One of these. No, maybe that one. When I said the right, there's a good chance. Is it? Oh, well, there you go. Why didn't it work for me? What am I pressing wrong? The right and left buttons? There we go, look at that. Go back! It's intermittent, a bit like me. Okay, so I know what I mean when I think of systems. What do you think? What comes to mind when you think of systems? Anyone can play. Profit, yep, okay, good. Just the systems themselves, just describe them. What? A way of doing something, what was that one? Consistency, yes? Procedures, all of those things. So all the sort of words in the world come up. Typically things like this. So people say things like how-to manual, procedure manuals, protocols and systems operating procedures or standard operating procedures, all those different things. For us, it is anything that will get you there. So for us, it is anything that means that we have the right person doing the right thing the right way at the right time. Would that be good for you? If you had, in your business, if you'd employed the right people, so you've got to do something yourself before that, but if you now had these right people doing the right thing the right way at the right time, would you be happy? Good. So systems makes it easy to do that, so that you're not sort of saying, oh, hang on, I'll show you in a minute. Hang on, I'll tell you in a minute. All right? So we don't want people doing that. We want people to have the right idea and do it the right way and learn how to use this. So we're looking at it from the perspective of the 4 Ps. So policy. You might want to put these notes down. Use those notes as you wish or don't use them. They're good for scribbling on the back of. Okay, so policy is as simple as we will always do this and we will never do that. Okay, we will always do this, we will never do that. A policy can be something like a great big heavy folder, you know, our leave policy. This is our something else, our HR policy, great big heavy folder, and no one ever looks at it. Who's got one of those policies? Good. Okay. Policy for me is something as basic as, oh, hey, if you're going out, have you got your mobile phone? Is it turned on? Good, because it's always got to be on if you're in sales. What's a policy like that that anyone here has, please? Can we get the buzzers fixed in the break? A refund policy. So if somebody asks, I'm going to fight it tooth and nail and try and not give them a refund. Oh, I'll lose a lot of customers. So we might change that policy and say, if somebody has a reasonable reason for, or a just cause for asking for a refund, we'll give it to them. We'll do this and this and this, etc., etc. Okay, what's another policy you may have in your business? Everyone's got them. Okay, so it could be something formal, protective, like you can't take drugs, no one's allowed to be drunk when they're operating the forklift above the water, etc., etc. All right, what else? Give me another couple, please. Sir. Yep, so there's a formal one. So that isn't one we can make up. Guys, it's okay not to wear their helmets, right? I said so. That's not a policy, that's, abrogation or whatever. So that one's a formal policy, it's governed by legislation. So one reason we have policies is to make sure we implement legislation. Okay, there's also employment law and so on. We have to make sure our policies respect that, otherwise we'll be taken to court, etc., etc., be very embarrassed. But I want to hear about just policies, I don't want to spend too long on it. Any other policies that just are informal things? Guys, we always start on time. Guys, if you're going out to see a client, make sure that you look as good as they do. Wear the proper shirt with the badge on it, do this, do that. What are some of those rules? Sorry? Yep, presentation. Well, what is it? We will always We will always make sure that we present ourselves well. Is that what you mean? We look right, okay, what else? Something else, one more. Yep, we will always use the standard signature. And you've got to have, you've got to do this. Or we will always do a spell check before we send something out via email. One of my favorite sayings that I've nicked off from other people is one from Jan Carlsen, who was the head of SAS many years ago, 86. He said, he was the CEO of Scandinavian Air Services. And he said, when people pull down the tray table in our planes and they can see a coffee ring on the tray table, they know we don't service our engines. Okay? Do you like it? Can you see why it's my favorite? It gives me goosebumps. I've got goosebumps right now. It's just so beautiful because when people see that, they know this. You've seen it yourself. You go into a restaurant and the plate gets on the table and you see some dried food and you thumb it off with your thumbnail there. And now what are you doing? What are you looking at next? The cleanliness of everything else. I'm checking the knives and forks now. Hey, just check your plate. Mine had stuff on it. And when the food comes out, you may be looking a bit more closely at it, correct? Because one little thing triggers the next. Okay, so we're looking for those sort of things. So policy is we will always do this, we will never do that. It helps protect against things like that. Process. Let's say we've got a policy that says we will always pay our creditors within the agreed terms. So we've agreed 30 days with these people, and we're going to pay them within 30 days. A policy is good. That policy is a great policy. Wish everyone had it. Mary Ann comes in after lunch and says, John, don't worry about a thing. I've paid all the invoices. They're all paid, every one of them. I think, oh shit. I don't think we actually had enough money now. I don't think we've got enough left to pay for that photocopier I've ordered. That's COD. I'm not sure I can cover the rent, and your wages are definitely not covered. So Mary Ann had a great approach to meeting the policy, but we have the process to make sure she implements the policy correctly. So the process is the bit we identify which invoices are open, work out which ones we're setting aside because we're disputing those ones. We can set aside the ones that haven't been delivered on yet, etc. We're going to work out these ones against cash flow, work out if we need to speak to somebody we can't pay at this time. Now we're going to pay these ones by internet banking, make sure we scan and save all the original invoices, and then we've done it. So everything's saved, everything done. That's our process. The procedure is the detail underneath that. How do I pay by internet banking? How do I know which invoices I'm setting aside, etc.? The detail behind those. So for us, procedure is the detail that backs up the process. Lastly, we got props. The checklist, the forms, the templates, the standard letters, the yellow lines on the floor in the factory. Mind your head, watch the step. Can we see one prop in this room? Yep, you've got them on your tables. That's why I was looking around the room to distract you. Okay, they're on your tables. What have you got a prop? Tell me which props you've got on the table there, please. Anyone? Someone who hasn't spoken yet? That's most people. Sir, a pen, is that a prop? It's a lot easier than drawing blood and writing in with your fingernail. Yep, okay, yep. You've got the slides. You've got a printout of the handout of all the slides, so you don't have to worry about writing the title of the slide or anything. That will help you. It's propping you up. Okay, what other ones have you got on the table? You've got a timetable somewhere? Yep, so that's a prop. It tells you, don't worry, I only have to put up with this for a little while longer. All that sort of thing. All right, so they're props. So if we're taking a phone call, hi, oh yes, and you'd like to order, okay, just one moment. Oh yeah, okay, got that, yes, and your name was Jim. Okay, thank you, bye. Oh, I forgot to write down this, I forgot to write down that. Okay, what did this guy need? Speaking to Jim. Needed a prop, something that would say, oh, can I just get your name and can I just check the spelling and your email address is and this is what you wanted to order exactly and so on and when did you want them delivered? All those things would be there. Is that correct? That's a good prop. Okay, who has a prop like that? It may be straight into your CRM or it may be onto a form. Who thinks they need one of those and doesn't have it yet? I'll close my eyes while you put your hand up. I close them both, but separate times. Okay. So, we're going to be focusing on process in our little exercise today. Okay, so I want to look at these two things now. I don't want to look there, though. Oh, by the way, none of this means anything. So we can have all the policy, all the process, all the procedure, all the props in the world, and it will mean diddly squat. It'll mean absolutely nothing. It'll be worthless. It'll be less worth than a leaf that's fallen to the ground and is decaying. Because they have no value at all until you communicate your systems and until you manage through them. I've walked into places, and I won't mention value-added promotions at St Leonard's, and I walked in there, and Tim, whose name will remain nameless, and Tim said, yep, we got systems. I've got this beautiful folder full of systems. I said, Tim, are you happy to share that? He said, yes. He said, Joan, can you get the systems folder, please? Which one's that? You know, the blue one. Oh, you mean that white one on the top of the cupboard? This is all word for word real. Okay? And she brought in a folder, and as she put it down, 2 dead moths fell off the top, and it was all black with dust on the top. Inside, the pages were pristine, beautiful, never been touched, no grubbies anywhere. How effective are those systems? They're about that much value. That is the leaf. Okay, so we want to make sure we don't have anything like that. We're going to avoid that. So we want to manage through them. How do you manage through the system? Marianne comes up and says, John, what's the worst thing I can say now? Because I'm busy. Sorry? Is that the worst thing you can do? What's the worst thing I can say? In my response to Marianne, what's the worst thing I can say? Here, let me stop my work and I'll just step over and do that and help you out with it. Okay? Because I'm going to interrupt my high-value work and do your work for you. So I want to just put a little picture here very, very quickly, and it's only a small one, but I'm sure you can see it. In that particular thing, I'm the $100 an hour person. There's the $100 an hour person. What sort of work should this person be doing? $100 an hour work, yeah? This person's the $25 an hour person. What sort of work should they be doing? The $25 an hour work. And they're both high-value jobs. It doesn't mean we can just sort of cut this one out because it's not worth anything. They both have to be done. But as soon as I start doing that person's work, what am I doing? I'm stealing $75 an hour from the client, from the company, from your company. I hope you're happy with that. If I say, don't worry, I'll do it for you, I'm now stealing $75. If I say, here, I'll come and help you, how much is that costing an hour for me to help Marianne doing it? How much? $125 an hour. That's 5 times more than it should have cost. That should be $25 an hour. But now you're using my time and Marianne's time, $125. Who's happy with that? Not too many people. Okay, because it's not the right thing to do. What should I have done? That's right, I should have sat there quietly and let it happen. It works every time. It's what most business owners do. Once we got past that bit, what should I have done? Set up a system, and then I would train Marianne. How much an hour is it costing to train Marianne? $125, but that's a good investment, because now Marianne can go on and do it over and over again, consistently. Whose word was that? Was down there? Yep, your word. Consistently, reliably, the same way, the same output every time, just like you want. And you can now, because it is consistent, you can say, you know what, it's not quite working properly. I just want to tweak this little bit, because I know which bit, because I can see that's the consistent flow. It always does the same thing. And it's that bit there, that's the bit that doesn't work. So systems let you do that. So remember the $100 an hour person and the $25 an hour person. Our view of systems is very scientific. We look at it through the lens of GBP and SMA. Good business practice is the first one. Good business practice is doing things faster, doing things more efficiently, making the right amount of money, spending the right amount of time, not wasting resources, not wasting energy. That's what good business practice is. SMA, save my ass. If we do things properly, we will achieve all those GBP things, and we will protect ourselves against these things happening. What things do we put in practice to save our ass in business? Sorry? Safety things, yep. So from that angle, on the physical side, thank you, sir. Safety things. Terms and conditions. So when we send out an invoice, we put our terms there. If we look on the back of the invoice, there are full terms and conditions. So if somebody doesn't pay, they know that we can come and pick up the equipment or whatever it is to take it back, to recover our goods, to maintain our quality in our product. Okay, what other things do we do? SMA. We have agreements. Here's how we will deliver this and what we promise to pay. So all the things that we do verbally, we cover in something a little bit more formal, and that sounds like a system. So we're going to make sure we do that. This is simply another way of saying risk and benefit. So, who knows how to make their lunch? Oop, go away. Back. Who knows how to make their lunch? Not everyone? Okay. Sad case here in Wollongong. Everyone knows how to make their lunch, I'm sure. Who bought their lunch today? Not from home. Who bought? Yep. Okay, so all of us who bought our lunch, why did we buy it? We know how to make it. It's cheaper. We know that. It's probably going to be more healthy, maybe. Possibly. You haven't seen my fridge. Okay, so why do we buy our lunch even though we know we can make it? Convenience, which is a benefit. Why else? Because there's a bigger range, a benefit. I can walk into the lunch, a little cafe or whatever it is, a sandwich shop, not knowing anything about what I want to eat for lunch, and I go in there and say, oh, gee, that looks good. Oh, and can I get that too, please? I had no idea about it. I wasn't even thinking about lunch, but I go in there and I walk out happy, and I'm prepared to pay a premium for that. Yes? That's why you're in business. The risk. We're in business because we manage the risk, or we are perceived as managing the risk more effectively than someone else doing the same thing. Is that correct? Your business, please. Yep. Property investment and asset advisory. No one else does that in the world, do they? Oh, yes, they do. That's right. I saw 17 people yesterday on the bus stop. Okay, so other people do it. Why are they going to come to you? Because the benefit is achieved, seen as being higher, and the risk is seen as being lower. Sometimes that's just because they know you more. Okay, it doesn't mean that in the absolute measure of everything in the world and the universe, you are best. It simply means the picture to them as they see it, you are better and you do that. Now, the sad thing is that that picture may not stay the same, correct? Can it change? If I'm here and I'm big and successful in my business here, this is it, we've done this, here are all our awards and things, and we're really good and we've got a really good client range portfolio, is that guaranteed to stay the same? Nope. I remember seeing a study or something or other when I was some years ago, and here was this thing that said of the 100 top companies in 1900, by 1980 or something, about 3 of them or 4 of them or 5 or whatever it was, some amazingly scary number, were still in business. All the others they'd either changed in the same form they were then, sorry. So some of them just because they didn't make those things anymore. Anyone remember Kodak? Yep, okay. So, they don't do the same thing anymore. So they've changed form, but it was really an amazing statistic. There's nothing that guarantees that you are going to be in business next week, let alone next year, let alone 20 years from now. Okay, what has to happen to keep you there if that's what you want to do? Adapt, change, have systems that do those things too, adapt and change, because nothing stays the same. A number of years ago, if I were presenting this, and sadly I was presenting this those years ago, I was using an overhead projector. Who remembers an overhead projector? Right, who remembers writing on those laminated, plastic laminates, the gels? And I've got a really cool one. It's sticky tape, different colours, and it overlays. Who can remember that? Because I can, sadly. Everything in it was in black and white when I was young. As you know, you've seen the film. Okay, so it's a bit like that. What we're trying to do is to make sure that we adapt and move with the times as well. So we're going to be very careful of that. Everything we do in systems is related to those two words, risk and benefit. Okay, you have to manage the risk, otherwise you are out. You have to achieve the benefit, otherwise you are out, like this little thing here, which may work, Steve, but I'm not doing that anymore. I'm doing this one. Ooh, it plays me music as well. Okay, so let's go on from there. It better work, hasn't it? Come on, you can do it. Okay, time, cost, quality, the only 3 things you can change. If you're talking about how you can improve something in your business, someone comes and says, hey, we can do this better. Better is going to be a measure of one of those 3 things, time or cost or quality. And as soon as somebody says, we can do this better, you're going to say, okay, where's the benefit in terms of time or cost or quality? Time is overtime, time is touch time is elapsed time is all the things that go with time, tracking time and all those things. right? Cost is tracking cost. Cost is making sure we minimize the costs. The flip side of cost, of course, is profit. Okay, and quality. Who could not make a better quality, or who could not give a better quality product or service than they are giving now? Raise your hand proudly. Who could not give better quality than they are now? Oh, geez, I think I'm in the wrong place. Okay, so we've got lower quality stuff here, have we? Second quality. We're all second tier until we prove we're not. Okay, so what we're saying is that, yes, of course we could build better quality. I could wear a better quality suit. All right, jacket. Trousers already gone. Okay, but I could deliver better quality to my clients. But what would be the problem? I could have a whole team of people going in and working with the client. Why don't I? Cost. The client isn't going to pay for that. So as soon as I see a benefit in one, what am I going to do? I'm going to test that potential benefit against the other two. Someone says, you know what, we could get these out quicker. What's my first question, straight out? What's going to happen to the quality? What's going to happen to the cost? Hey, we could save money on this. What's going to happen to time? What's going to happen to the quality? I used to cook many years ago, and I came in after work one day, after the in-between lunch and dinner break, and there were these tea bags hanging on a wire. The owner had decided to see if he could use 2 new ones and 1 old one in a pot of tea. He was looking at cost and thinking, what can I do? I reckon I can do this and it'll be good. I'm serious, totally serious. Okay, and that was his idea of trying to improve his cost position. What do you reckon it did to quality? How many people here think they would drink a pot of tea and say, that's lovely. It doesn't taste at all like stale tea bags. Who would be doing that? We could all pick a stale tea bag, couldn't we? So why didn't Laddie pick that out? Rest his soul. Systems are worthless. Systems mean absolutely nothing. Systems are as useful as that, like that leaf on the ground there. Systems mean nothing if you do not train them. If you don't provide training around your systems, you don't have systems, you've got a bit of hope floating around in a pretty book on the wall, in your trophy shelf. There it is, doesn't it look beautiful? Have a look at my systems, look. Come and look at them, I want to just bring you over a bit closer. Okay, who wants systems like that? What good do they do? If your systems were on paper, what do we want to see on them? Grubby marks. We want something that says, these are used. You know, here be dragons. You know, well, this one's not that. This one here is, here be systems that are used. Because we use them, we get the benefit. It's like medicine, it's like drugs. No one gets the benefit out of medicine if you don't take it the right way. Okay, systems are like that. Systems are like money. Systems is money. Systems is like money because it has no value by itself. I can show you a little piece of shiny metal, but it is exactly that. I can use it as a paperweight. I can use it to stop that leaf blowing away. I can use it for a few little things, but it's no value at all unless somebody accepts that that thing is worth the $2 or whatever it is we've ascribed to it. So systems is like that. So we've got to make sure we've got that. So how do we train people? We show them, we tell them, we give them something to guide them. And then after we've done that, we keep giving support. Is that correct? What sort of atmosphere do we give it in? Positive or negative? Yeah, remember we're still the same kids we were around the school playground? It's funny that when we learned, back there, think about when we learnt to walk. There's mum saying, oh look, Johnny's walking! Look, come and look at Johnny, Johnny's walking! Falling over and everything else. Johnny's not walking, Johnny's hanging on to something. But who cares? Johnny's walking. Johnny can't understand a word of anything, but Johnny looks up and sees mum doing that, and Johnny keeps walking and learns to walk like every other kid. Total positivity is all that Johnny had to learn from, wasn't it? That's the only guiding thing. I see feedback that is positive. I know I'm doing the right thing. Contrast that with, get up off the floor, you silly boy. Oh, he's fallen down again. Oh, jeez, etc., etc. You can imagine all that, right? So it's a matter of making sure that we do things positively. Does anyone here wake up in the morning and think, when I go to work today, I'm going to stuff something up, I'm going to leave a couple of notes off, I'm going to break things, I'm not going to do the last 3 things on every list. Anyone do that? Be proud. Straight to it. Not one of us. Everyone wakes up here, I presume, we go to work and we think, oh, I've got to get that done. Oh, yeah. Oh, and I've got to get that out before lunchtime. I'm so positive. Everyone's like that, aren't they? We wake up wanting to do the things that we know we have to do. We've accepted it. We hold ourselves accountable for that. So now what we've got to do is to make sure that we can do the same thing with everybody else. We give them systems, we give them training, and then we provide support. And then they will do it. Okay, so that was not good. That wasn't the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do. Okay. Well. Okay, so then, systems plus training plus support. Where do you reckon your business is? On the slide, just mark it. If you had really good systems coming across to here, that mark is the divider between on this side is systems and on that side is expertise. Where do you reckon your business is on that continuum? If I've got lots of systems, that vertical line will be right over to the right. If I've only got a little bit of systems, it's all expertise, I'm going to be right over here on the left. Okay, whereabouts is your business? Just put a little mark, no one's watching except me. Whereabouts are you? Who is sort of something like this? Whoop, wrong one. Who's something, go back. Who's something like that? Who's got lots of systems, and you know what? Occasionally we need to wheel out a bit of expertise. But most of the rest of the time we can just go out there and it just happens automatically. Everyone just knows what to do. Very good. One person out of whatever the number is. Add them up later. Okay. Who is more towards this end of the game? Zoomp. Who's down that end of the game? Very little systems really, and most of everything I do is expertise. I know it, and you know, when we ever get anywhere near that, they've got to ask me, because I'm the only one who knows that. Who's like a bit more? Yep, we've got 3 or 4 people who will admit it. I'd say probably a number of other arms that are a bit sore, a bit heavy. Okay, so, and that's where most businesses are, and I've worked with some of the biggest businesses and some of the very small ones. And they all tend to have lots of stuff up here and not so much written down in a presentable form or on a screen or in a way that they can actually work with people. So what we want to do is to get it somewhere where we can say, you know what? You know what? Hello. We want to systemize everything we possibly can, and somewhere up there we'll have our expertise, right? We want to systemize all the things that we can, and then the expertise is just the cream on top. Is that how you'd like your business to be? That's what we're looking at. Okay, so the way we get there is this. But before I show you that, I want to have a cup of coffee. Okay, so we're going to have a little coffee break. I'm just going to jump past this slide. Will you excuse me whilst I do that? You can just close your eyes for just a moment, and I'll get past this slide. I'm going to come back to it so you're not missing anything. And I'm going to go to this slide, and then I'm going to come back to that slide. There, okay. So, you've got some sheets coming out. They're coming out to you right now, and we're going to have a quick coffee break. We are going to have a very quick coffee break because our time is limited. Okay, so what we're going to do is to map how we make a cup of coffee. So we're going to just use 2 figures from the process mapping flowcharty sort of stuff, and we're going to use a process step, and we're going to use a decision. And the process step is where we tell somebody, do this, do this, do this. And the decision, the diamond, is where we say, is it one of these? Oh, if it is, then you go that way. If it isn't, do this. Okay, so if you like to put it this way, the rectangle, the process step, is saying do something, and the other one, the diamond, is saying ask something. So see that we've written inside the box. What I want you to do is to, just on that piece of paper, you've got 3 minutes and 3 minutes only. I want you to map how you make a cup of coffee. So it'll be in a flowchart form, just like that. I want you to map how you make a cup of coffee. Can you give it a go? Good. Finished? Oh, good. Yep, that's 3 minutes. Okay, so I appreciate you may not be finished. Oh, by the way, what time does this session finish? Anyone tell me, please? What time do we finish? 3 o'clock? 3:15? Oh, what did you reach for? What do you think? I better look in my prop. Okay, see how handy props are, right? Prop is, I don't have to look for it, I don't have to think about it. I can just go, oh, yeah, it's 3:15. Right there in front of us. Easy. I knew that. Okay, so I want you to hold your coffee thingy up now, please. Just hold it up so for everyone else to have a look at. Okay, so we're all looking at that. So, for everyone at your table, so we're doing this at the table, each per table. I won't ridicule them too heavily. Okay, make an observation, please. Somebody make an observation. Somebody with reddish hair and beard, make a comment. That's you. What's your comment, looking at the other ones at the table, sir? Someone else is simpler. So that one's simpler than mine. Okay, make another comment. Someone else, please. Sir. Any comment about the other ones at your table? Yep, some are really neat, some are all over the place. Dog's breakfast comes to mind. Your observation? No options, just this. There's your coffee, like it or otherwise. Okay, yep. Another comment, please. Yes, number there on your right. Yes, sir. Observation about everything at your table. The coffee, things at your table. They're all pretty similar? Okay. Let's look at a few little things. We could keep on going for a long time, but we're not going to. How many steps are there? So every rectangle, every decision, every diamond, just count them all up. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Just count them, don't bother saying it. I'm going to just bring it down. So what I'm going to do is to start at 20, and as soon as I say the number that corresponds with the number of steps in your process, put your hand up, please, okay? So 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, a couple of them, 14, 13, 113, 12, 112, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the shortest one we've ever seen is 1. This person was severely beaten. His one said, "Tell the girl to get me a coffee." Biff, 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 very quickly. The longest one we've ever seen, it was one that was up to about step 35, I did not count them, and we clipped his head as he was turning the page, because the first step said, "Fly to Colombia." Yes. Okay, so somewhere between flying to Colombia and inappropriate language is the correct way, the one perfect way. By the way, the phrase we talk about, and we use in Brain in a Box, I should patent it, is the one best way of doing things. Because if I were to ask anyone at this table, who's got the best way of making coffee? Well, I have. Everyone's got the one best way, haven't they? Or the best way of doing it. So out of all those best ways, what we have to do in our business is to find the one best way of doing it. Okay, what's the best way to do that? Have a fight? Sort of say, no, I have more authority in this business than you. We're doing it my way. Is that a good way? No, probably not really. Okay, best way is to agree on it. Okay, so we've got a range of numbers of figures, range of complexity therefore. Who allowed for milk or sugar, sorry? Who allowed for milk or sugar? Good. Who drank the coffee? That was my coffee. I said, how you make a cup of coffee. Okay, so we got a little thing there. Who's got something really interesting they should tell me about their coffee? Beg pardon, sorry? You milked a cow? Okay, that's going a bit further. That's not coffee. Just letting you know. Add sugar if required. In my standard one, I put add sugar to taste, which is my way of getting around how much sugar did you want? If you think about it, just think about that. I won't go too much further with this, but you know, coffee is one of those things. Oh, can you make me one too, please? Oh, thanks. And it comes back in, and we get a coffee, and most times we would drink it. Yep. Oh, thanks. Thank you. That's fine. Does it mean it's perfectly fine? This is the best cup of coffee I could have ever had? This beats all the others? No? What it means is it's in an acceptable range, correct? Okay, so if they said, did you want sugar? I might have said, oh, just one, thanks. And here's my teaspoon, and it may have been a heaped teaspoon. It may have been an under teaspoon, sort of a little bit like that. It may have been perfectly flat. Would I care very much? Probably not. What's the level of compliance I require in the amount of sugar in my coffee? Pretty loose, not very high. What do you reckon, percentage-wise? 80% would be okay, 60% maybe? Yep, would that be about right? 60 to 80%? Okay, I fly quite a bit. What do you reckon the level of compliance I expect from my aeroplanes is? Pretty high, pretty high, pretty high. I'm quite pleased coming home. Okay, if we think about it, what's 99% look like? Who'd be happy with 99% compliance in every aspect of their business? 99%. I mean, that's pretty close to 100, you've got to admit it. 99, 100, it's just 1 point away. Who'd be happy with that? If I were a bricklayer, I'd probably be happy with that, as long as we don't build more than 2 stories. You know, that wall's getting a bit off there, John. Oh, sorry. Okay, you know, you might be a bit careful in some things, but for most things, probably 99% would be pretty good. Let's look at 99% with Sydney Airport. 800 landings and takeoffs every day. Who wants to be in the 8 that didn't work? Okay, because that's 1%. 99% of them, everyone's happy, got to New Zealand everywhere, all the way. They've all gone. Don't like the new government. Okay, the 1% who didn't make it, yeah, well, it was sad, but you know, other people will look after them. Okay, so that's the sort of way it is. If that's how you want your business working, then you just focus on that. But if you want to have 100% compliance, you better have something that delivers 100% compliance. Okay, so a lot of talking going on. This is the coffee machine we're talking about, by the way. Who made instant coffee? Not that there's any such thing. Okay, you are deluded. Okay, who made pod coffee? You know, those little plastic things that ruin the environment. Good. Okay, who made those stupid little pillow ones? You know, you put the little pillow in and go and so on. Who made one of them? Okay, so everyone made real coffee. Is that right? Okay. Okay, I'll just step over this side a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to address you guys now. Okay, yeah, okay, so it's just a matter of defining it, I suppose. Anyway, so if I was showing you how to make the coffee there, and if I used your sheet, would you mind just bringing me up your one, please? Yep, thank you. So I went through this just a few months ago. I taught my daughter how to make coffee using that very machine. That's the one in my kitchen. Thank you, sir. Okay, so here's the system for making coffee on that machine, right? This is it. It's perfect. If you follow this, it will be perfect. You will have good coffee at the end of that, okay? If I just say here, could you make me a coffee, follow that, what are my chances of getting a decent coffee from that machine? Probably 10%, yes? Because I don't know how to use that machine. I have no familiarity whatsoever. Okay, I went into a business just recently and they had exactly that machine, that model. I was quite impressed. It's the first one I've ever come across. But otherwise, everyone's got something else. Okay, so if I want to get that machine, and I've got this, what do I need? I want to get that machine making good coffee, and I've got the perfect system that does it. What do I have to do to make that happen? Demonstrate, which is part of, a means of training. If I had this, I could now train Marianne in how to make a coffee. Once Marianne's been trained and she's sort of consciously competent and she's saying, now I've got to lift the, that's right, and now it's changing color and, oh, that's it, oh yeah, that's conscious competence, right? We want to get to unconscious, so you can just make a coffee. Yeah, no, you've got it here, yeah, that's it, yeah, here you go. That sort of thing. I mean, parallel that to you with business processes. That's where we want to end up. But for me to get to that, what else would I be providing? We've got the system, we got the training, and we would provide contextual systems, another word for support, I hope. Okay, yes, it is in context. So in context would be, as you're doing it, I'm giving you a bit of something there to go along. Hey, yeah, that's right, now do it now. So with my daughter, I was there saying, yep, just wait a little longer. Oh, okay, that'll do, that's fine. And next time, yep, oh, that's right, oh, that's perfect. And so on, a little bit tighter, a little bit looser, a little bit more, a little bit less, all those things. Who has children? Who's taught their children to ride a bike? Okay, when you're riding a bike, is it just straight away, here's how you do it? You sit on the pedal, you sit on the seat, sorry, I knew it was one of them. You sit on the seat, you turn the pedals around, and you steer. Go on, off you go. Tell me when you get there, right? Is it going to work? Not very likely. Most people fall off before then. Okay, so you would be giving support. You'd be saying, no, you've got to keep pedaling. Don't slow down. If you don't pedal, you can't steer. If you can't steer, you're going to hit the tree. My sister hit the tree. Okay, so you've got to have all of that. So it's systems plus training plus support. Can you see where it would be handy here? So I want to go back to the slide that I didn't show you. So here's the slide before that. So this is how we get there. And this is what we'll demonstrate in abbreviated format in the next 2 sessions, or in the rest of this one and the next one. So if we want to get there, we've got to define a process. So a process for us is something that starts and finishes and we get up. So we sit down. What are you doing, John? Oh, I'm just doing the invoicing. So I sit down. I've got my bunch of invoices to put into Xero or Maya, whatever I use. I sit down. I process them all in there. I scan them. I file them, whatever I do with them. And I get up and someone says, oh, have you done the invoicing? Yeah, I've finished that. So it's one process, start, finish, defined. I know what the output is. It's all entered into our accounting system. Everything has been scanned and saved. And if I look at the table where you're working or the desk, I don't see a pile of stuff everywhere, invoices paid, not paid, stamped or not stamped and so on. Is that correct? So let's look at it a little bit like maybe a restaurant. So I'll go a bit further and we'll have a look at that. So we're going to define the process, so something that has a start and finish, clarify what we have to have at the end. We're going to record the process. We're going to check the process to make sure it works. I'll go into a bit more detail. And then we're going to launch the process. So doing that gets us to the end, which is we have good systems. And we do it for every system that we have to cover. Okay, start with the ones that make money. Okay, so when we're looking at a system, if I said we were going camping this weekend, guys, we're going camping this weekend. I said I'd say it. Okay, what's the first thing that comes to mind with camping, please? Just everyone quickly think about it. I mean in things you're doing, not whether you like it or not. Honestly, what's the first thing we're going to do? Yes? You're looking at the fire, you're already there. So he's already on the site there, lighting the fire. I'm back here trying to work out where we're going. What do we need to take? What other things pop into mind? Beg your pardon, sorry? Yeah, we've got to pack everything. So that's sort of down here before we leave. There's the fire, there's the thinking about it, and here's packing everything up. Where are we going? That's probably back there somewhere. Checking the tent. Oh, that's right, we lost those pegs last time. I forgot to get them. And so on, all those things. So think about all that. If we don't define that at the beginning, someone's going to think of the camping bit as starting here and finishing here, the planning bit. Someone else is sort of thinking, okay, here's how we're setting the site up, guys. We get there, we light the fire, and so on and so on. Someone else will be thinking from here to here. So we've got to work out, if we're looking at a process, where it starts and, of course, where it finishes. Okay, so we've got to have a start and a finish. If we were doing the invoicing, we've got all the invoices ready to enter, and at the end, all of them are entered and they're scanned into Xero or MyOb or whatever, and everything's put away. Is that a good start and finish? Okay, for everything we do pretty well in systems, we need to shift the glass of water. We need to look at the preparation required. And we need to look at the tidy up, the housekeeping, the putting away at the end of it. Is that a fair way of looking at it? Yep? No? So think of it like a restaurant. We open for service, we're not open for service, this is the day. We've got to do all our preparation, all our mise en place at the beginning, get everything ready so that it's all ready to cook. Then we open for service, that's the doing it bit, and so on. And then we get to the end, we've got to put everything away, wash up the dishes, put all the pots away, do everything, wipe all the benches down, because tomorrow we're going to come back and do it all over again. Okay, so we've got that whole bit there, prepare, tidy up, and then do it. So notice we started at the outside and came in, rather than just starting at the top, because if you start at the top and go down, you'll end up going longer than you think you should. Okay, so then we're looking at the next bit, clarify what we need. So what do we have to have at the end of this process? So maybe start thinking about a process in your business. Okay, what's the input? What's the process? So what do we actually do? And then this is the critical part, and this is where we spend most of our time, and this is what we're going to be looking at in more detail in the second session. We're going to be looking at what roles are involved. What does it mean when somebody says, oh yeah, we all do that? What does everyone mean when you're talking about systems? Everyone means no one. When someone says, yeah, everyone does that. That's why it hasn't been done for the last N months. Okay, so who cleans the kitchen? Oh, we all do that. Okay, so we're looking at the risks. We want to understand the risks in a process. Who's made scones before? Okay, a few people have made scones. What are the things that can go wrong with scones? We've all eaten them, sadly, too many, some of us. Okay, what are the things that can go wrong with scones? They get burnt. What else? They're hard as rocks. Okay, they're really tough. They're dried out. All those different things. Those are the outcomes of certain risks. What are the risks that we didn't manage well that got us burnt, tough, dry, whatever scones? What are the risks that we didn't manage? We didn't use the right ingredients. Perfect. What else? We didn't set the timer correctly. We didn't set the temperature correctly. Okay. I wanted quick scones. I put it on max. Okay, what else? Beg pardon, sorry? The measuring, that's right. Yep. So the ingredients, I used self-raising flour. But no, actually I think I used plain flour. I just said, whatever. Okay, you can imagine. So we want to look at the risks, because if we know the risks, they become the teaching points. If you knew those were the risks, when we're now showing Mary Ann how to make scones, I'm going to say, hey, make sure you measure the ingredients properly. Make sure you set the temperature properly. Make sure you set the timer. Make sure you monitor them in case you don't know the oven, etc. Is that right? So the risks are really critical if you're going to build systems. Because if you don't understand the risks, where do they stay in that process? So this is where it comes to light, where people say, oh yeah, we've got systems. What I did was I told everyone in the team just to go away and write down exactly what they do, and we typed it up and we put it in a big folder and we said, that's our systems folder. I hear lots of businesses say that. I hear lots of business owners say that's what we've done, and they're very proud of it. We've got all these little bundles of risk put in a folder, waiting to come out and hit you. That's what it is, okay? So, we want to make sure that we know the benefits. I was working with a plumbing company, and the guys in the plumbing company, all the guys in yellow high-vis, all thought they were plumbers. They were plumbers, but they thought that all they had to do in their jobs was to do plumbing. What's their real job? Customer service? They provide a service, yep. Their real job is sales. How do they earn sales? How do they make sales? By doing plumbing. So sometimes it's just a matter of the way you phrase it in the business. So they're not they are plumbers, but they make sales by doing plumbing. Right? If you're a bricklayer, you make sales by doing bricklaying. If you have the mentality that says, I'm a bricklayer and I make money by laying bricks, you're going to go out of business, aren't you? So we've got to turn that around. I make sales by laying bricks, etc. So you've got to have everything built that way. Okay, so once we've got past that, we know exactly what our system is, we know the risks, the benefits, and the roles. Now we're going to come in there and say, all right, what are the things that would help somebody to do this? Should we have a checklist? Should we have a video? Should we have a guide or something there that'll help us make it easy for somebody to do the right thing? Because that's all we're trying to do with systems. If it's easy for somebody to do the right thing, what won't they be doing? The wrong thing. They won't do the wrong thing because it's so much easier doing the right thing. And there's a positive feedback if I do the right thing, and so on. Okay, so there we go. So now we're moving into checking the process. We're going to map the workflow. This is where we record the props. This is where we assign the roles. Okay, so that's critical. Now, once we've done that, we're going to check the process. We said this process was going to achieve this and get this outcome. We're going to look at it as we've mapped it. We're using our little post-it notes and things to do that, which we're going to be doing in second session. And we're going to look through it to say, are the roles clear? Is the output there? And so on. We've got to tick these things off. When we come to the risks, we've got to be able to do them one at a time. We said there was a risk that the scones could be burnt. Where have we protected against that risk? Oh, there it is. Set the timer. Monitor the scones as they're baking. We can say with those two things, that one we can tick off. Is that a fair transaction? So we have to be able to do that with all the risks we've identified. Otherwise, the risks are still in the process, right? Okay. So likewise, the benefits. I don't want somebody to be a plumber. I want them to realize I make sales by doing plumbing. Okay. Then we're going to develop the process. We do that by taking a photo. It goes up to the team. They then deploy that by publishing it through Lucidchart into a Google site, and there it is in front of the client. That's you, in this case. Okay, and then we implement it. It's up to you to implement the process. So what you're going to do is to implement it first with the team. Do you hate it when you find out something important from the wrong people? Okay, why wasn't I told? Is there anyone who likes that, who likes finding out things by accident like that, the last person to know? Of course you don't. So we've got to make sure our team knows it first. They're the people we hold dear and close. Okay, we're going to make sure our suppliers know it. Who has some part of their system that goes into their suppliers' world? Something that we tell our suppliers, look, you need to provide it like this, at this time, doing this, wrap them in this way, that sort of thing. Okay, and then likewise, we've got things that go out to our clients. Who has systems that reach out into the client's world? So when you've got this thing, here's how you should install it, how you should look after it, how you should maintain it, what to do if there's a problem, what you can do to troubleshoot. All those things is your systems reaching out into the world of the client. Okay, and then some part of our systems are going to go into the world of the prospect or the public, maybe on your website. Here's how we manage your quote. Here's what we will do to do this, and so on. That sound fair enough? Because that's what it is. So that is 5-step systems. Can you see why I didn't put it all up on the screen in one go? Is that going to help you? It does. Well, we've done that. We're flying through it. Okay. The whole thing about systems is people will say to me, John, we love systems, we just want them to be simple. And I say, okay, so I'm looking at this, but oh, you want simple. That's simple. Because you can be too simple, can't you, as Mr. Einstein said. Who has systems that are exactly the right balance between simplicity and complexity? Okay, it's hard to get sometimes, isn't it? Right? But it's good to start where we think it's going to be. Get your systems put down somehow, and then we can always work it out. So we want things to be as simple as they can be, but the crucial thing is we don't make them so simple that they compromise you. So we've got to make them as detailed as they need to be to get the job done properly. And because, as we just acknowledged, we don't know what that is at this stage, as we're moving along, we're going to be refining our systems. We discover that, you know what, I think the guys are making a mistake because that's unclear. And we get them involved. Do you understand what we're doing here? Yeah, well, this bit here is not working. I was working with a painting company probably about 9, maybe 10 years ago, and everyone in the business, including the owner, was Chinese. Nothing to do with being Chinese, just with not speaking a lot of English. The owner spoke perfect English, but most of the team did not speak perfect English. And they still followed the flowcharts, which were all done in English, but they were looking at it more as a sort of a diagram that they could follow. A little bit like if you go to a foreign place, you can't read the words, but you start recognizing patterns. You at least see the arrows and so on, and it tells you what to do. And there's something, oh, I know what this one is, and so on. That's exactly how they were working. And once they'd been trained in that system, with the systems, they were able to follow it. So we looked at that. Okay, so then, would it have been happy? Yeah, I'll leave that one there. Okay, this is a triangle. We call this one the triangle of accountability, because it's a triangle. Okay, so can I make anyone here accountable? Can I make you accountable, sir? Can I say, what's your name, please? Patrick, I'm holding you accountable for making sure that something happens. I can say that, can't I? How far can I be assured that Patrick will actually do what I've said and will hold himself accountable? What's my level of compliance on that one? Not so good, hey? What's required before Patrick will actually comply with what I've just said, hold himself accountable? Agreement. Patrick has to agree to make himself accountable. So I can make anyone in the world, I hold you accountable, I make you accountable. You're all accountable. But it's meaningless unless there is acceptance, agreement and acceptance. So if I said, Patrick, I'm holding you accountable for making sure that the doors are locked when we go out for afternoon tea, if Patrick accepts that, that's great. If he doesn't, I shouldn't be able to rely upon it. So what we're trying to do is to build accountability within our team. So let's say we've got our team around the table here, and we're working away at our systems, and we say, guys, we've got to come up with the one best way of doing it. We're doing it all the right way, following 5-step systems and so on. We want them to be accountable. How are we going to get them accountable? Delegate is part of it, I suppose. Yep, it is. It definitely is. Okay, the way we suggest we do it is involve them. Get them involved. If they are involved, what will happen naturally? What happens when you say, oh, here, come and join us? We're having a conversation. What does this person do within 2 or 3 minutes? They're now part of it. They're now talking. They are owning it. So involvement leads to ownership. Would you agree? Okay, and then ownership leads to accountability. We see this with kids playing with Lego. They'll quite happily reach over and go, and so on, knock someone else's stuff over, but then that child now comes back to retaliate. Don't come near mine, and so on. I own this. This is mine. I built it. I'm protective of it. So people protect and look after the things they own, the things they hold accountability for, much more than the things they don't. So we want to get that ownership. We want to get that involvement, which builds the ownership, and that's how you get good systems happening. The last slide we have, just to make sure you're all paying attention then, is one which tells us the means of actually doing that. Because it's wonderful hearing it from a stage. It's a little bit different when you get back on Monday and you're trying to say, how do we actually make people accountable? We've just built these systems. How do I know that someone's going to follow it? So we'll talk about that. What we're going to do now is between now and half an hour, how's that for timing? I said, I think I want to do half an hour for mind mapping. So we heard about mind mapping before, didn't we? Okay, so we use a very good tool. It's a basic tool. You know what it's called because you've got a little sheet on it there. And FreeMind is a great little tool. It's free. I like that part of it. But it's also very, very powerful. It does everything that all the costs, all the ones you have to pay for do. And you don't have to pay a cent because it's free. And it works on Mac, and it works on Windows, and it even works on Linux. But I don't suggest you do that. So let's have a little look at FreeMind. And what we're going to do is to do a little bit of a mind map. I'm not going to do a lot, but we're going to do a little bit of one. Okay, so here is FreeMind. And it looks like that. So this was actually me working. This is somebody else's, so I'm going to slip away from that one. We're going to start a brand new one here. So File, New. And it comes up. This is a 4K screen, so it's beautiful, isn't it? Everyone can read that? But not so well. Okay, let's just make it a tad larger. Okay, so I don't want to put the whole business down. I'm just going to make up one. What's a good little business to put in? Acme. Okay, Acme and Acme. Acme is a bakery. There you go. Just going to do that one. Acme Bakery. And out of this, we're going to look at our business in terms of marketing, sales, delivery, and admin. All right, so that covers everything. So marketing is where we work out who we should market to, who we should sell to. We present ourselves into the market using marketing techniques, etc. We make sure that people know about us, and we try to get them to be interested in us, and then we try them to turn that interest into desire. And then it jumps across the fence to sales. So that desire then gets across the fence to sales, where it becomes a sales order, and then we deliver the product or service to the client. And then admin is all the stuff that supports that. So it would be HR, IT, legals, what else? Anything else? Accounts, did I say them? And so on. All the other things that are in the business there. So every business is like that. Every business works like that. Every business has those things. We will always start with that, but we'll often end up by naming it something different. Not everyone wants to call it delivery. By delivery, I don't mean a white van. I mean the process of delivering our product or service. So let's put a few little things in here. What does a bakery do? We're just going to focus on delivery. It's the doing it bit. What does a bakery do? Okay, so we've got to use a verb. See, systems is me telling you what to do, but I'm not there. If I were there, I'd be saying, right, pick up those empty baking trays, bring them over there, do this, do that. I could go through the whole process and I'd be telling you what to do. Systems is me telling you what to do, but we've recorded it in some way. Is that a fair way of looking at it? So systems is you telling your team what to do, but you don't have to be there. So we want to capture it in a way that makes it easy for them to follow. So, okay. Who drove their car here today? Who did it with their eyes shut? No one. Good. Okay, good. Just a random question. So we all, whether we're visual, audio, or kinesthetic people, we all go to the visual, correct? So we do our systems in a visual way. That's what I was getting at. Okay, delivery. So they bake bread. So they bake bread. What else do they bake? Buns. Anything else? Biscuits? That doesn't start with B. Cakes. Okay, they bake cakes. Yep, what else? Slices. I remember seeing slices. Okay, anything else? So they bake all those things. What else do? They have to order things, don't they? So they order. What do they order? Flour. Eggs. Butter. Okay, and then what we could do now is to say, oh, wait a sec, I'm starting to see a bit of a pattern. So I'm going to put these ones here together, and I'm going to call them wet goods, or whatever you want. And I'm going to call the other ones dry goods, and whatever else, and so on. So if you go to a bakery, you'll see there's a dry goods store. This is where all the flour, the yeast, and all those things get stored. And then you go somewhere else, and this is where that gets stored, and so on. What else do they order? They also have to order the paper bags, so the packaging. Okay, so they order that. So what else do they have to order? Not so much ingredients. We'll leave that. Anything else? Okay, let's come away from that. So see how, as soon as we exhaust one thing, that's fine, because a mind map lets us go to somewhere else. So it works out easily. You don't have to stay in one place. Somebody could now mention fish, and we could find a place for it straight away. Somebody could say, oh, we've got to do our Facebook marketing. Oh, that's fine. Okay, so I'll just come up here and put social media, and then one of those is Facebook, because we might decide we want to do something on Instagram. Oh, yeah, Instagram, yeah, and so on. So as soon as we do it, it starts moving our mind in different places. Can you see how a mind map works? Who has thought of anything other than systems since we came into here? No one. You're all liars. Everyone's thought of something other than systems. Remember McKinsey, many years ago, they did a study with students in the universities in America, and they found that within the first 26 seconds, somebody has thought of sex, right? You don't have to own up, it's all right. But we don't stay focused. The brain doesn't start at 1 and finish at 10. The brain starts at 1 and ends at banana, or somewhere else, something totally away from that. Okay, so we want to make sure we're allowing for that. That's what a mind map allows us to do. So what we'd be doing is to capture everything the business does. So what else do we do in delivering our product or service? We display our products, our goods, our products. So this would have something about arranging, setting up the window display, setting up all the slices or something like that. Who's been to all the little cake shops in Ackland Street in St Kilda? Anyone seen those? Aren't they beautiful? There they all are, little pyramids of things like that. The quality's gone down. I just want to let you know. I tested them. I used to be, anyway, whatever. Okay, so all of that. We've got to display our products. We've got to, all the rest of it. Can you see how building a mind map, I'm just going to go to one we baked before, so to speak. I'll come here to, like this one here's one for construction. So we can sort of come and look at it, just a little bit of it, and we can say, oh, we do it in 5 stages, actually. And each of those stages comes in here, and we've got a little bit that happens and so on. So this is more detailed than I'd ever recommend you do anything with just a mind map, but this was sort of going through and saying these are all the things we have to do. If we looked at another one, if I just go and find one that I'm happy to sort of put on the screen here. Come here, it's construction. Here's a new product I'm developing. Okay, so I've just used it to capture things and so on, just all the little things that go with it. You can use a mind map for just about anything. I'll just find one other business one though. Oh, I saw one there, a good one. I'm just going to go and get that. So here's this one here. These people do promotional products and so on. There's nothing we're seeing that's going to be that, and they're changing their name anyway. So you can see what we've done. We started off with, and I'll just come here and we'll just take it all back. And what we did was just to take it back, marketing, sales, delivery, and admin. And then from that, if I just go out one level, so you can see the sort of thing we ended up with. Remember, this is the process. This was over a couple of days, over a week. We only did this over the first day, but anyway. So you can see here, so marketing, we're looking at developing new markets, website, maintain relationships, maintain social media, all those things. In sales, we manage inquiries, do that, do that, do that, do that, all those things. In delivery, we order things, we supply things, we manage that, we do this and do that, do that. And then if we were to follow any one of those out, we can say, oh, what about this supply e-commerce? Oh, only a little bit there. Order products, must have a lot around that. Oh yeah, we've got to create a job, order the art, do the artwork, do this, do that, do that. And we can follow any one of those down. How do we create a job? Oh, we've got to make sure we create a purchase order and make sure we have the product code and colors and variations. So we're not putting down every single thing that goes into that, but we're putting down the little handles, the little thing that'll make us remember that when we're mapping it. Because from here, what we're going to do then is to go over to here and use our little post-it notes and actually map the process, a little bit like we did with our coffee exercise. So imagine here, instead of this, so here's our way of making perfect coffee. Okay, here it is. But now someone says, oh, I want to put another step just in there. How do I adjust it? I've got to redraw it really, or make it a bit messy and so on. Whereas if we use post-it notes, it's really easy. We just take it off, move it around. We do it all the time. So that's the basis for that. So everything we start with, we're always going to come in and do a mind map to start off with. So let's look at that. So have a mind map, and we've got that. So to manage the warehouse, so manage is a multi-thing. We've got conduct a stock take. We've got receive goods into the warehouse, manage returns to the supplier, manage consumables, all the wrapping stuff and all that. So can you see how a mind map is going to be an easy way to start capturing your systems? Who would use a mind map to do that? Yep, who wouldn't have before and would now? There you go. They're just so easy. It works the way you work. I used FreeMind for about 6 months before I realized that there were more than 2 keys I needed to look at. Everything I just did with insert and enter. Or if you're a Mac user, tab and enter. And I did a huge amount with that. I can move things around. I won't do it on this one because it's a real client. But I can move things around. Let's just confuse them. So we could say, manage the warehouse. That goes into sales. There it is. It's up in sales. It's all still there. I could say, you know what, manage consumables. Oh, I want to have a copy of that down in admin as well because there's another admin component. So it's up here and it's down here. So when I'm working in a mind map, I'll sort of allow things to be in 2 places because it's a little bit like being in a parallel universe. I just want to know how it works. I don't, no, it doesn't have to be pure, right? So think about our plumber. The plumber goes out, the plumber turns up and says, hello, Mr. Smith, I'm here to repair the leaking tap. Okay, so far it just sounds like delivering service, right? Customer service. And then he says, yep, okay, so it's the one in the laundry, if I understand from the phone call. Yes, and we go and have a look at the one in the laundry. And so far it sounds like he's a plumber. And then he says, look, while I'm here, why don't I take a look at the other plumbing things, you know, your other taps and so on in the house, and I'll just see if there's anything else, because if I do it now, it'll save you quite a bit of money. So he now goes and has a look at the other taps and all the things, the hoses, or whatever else he looks at, and he comes back and says, yeah, look, everything looks pretty good. The anode on the hot water system is going to go pretty soon. I could do that for you now. That's probably going to save you about $120. Would that be a good idea? Oh, yeah, that'd be lovely, thank you. And so on. So now we've saved the client something. We've made a sale because he's a salesman, okay, and he's fixing the tap that he's there to do in the first place. Is that a better way to do it? So, but did you notice that he's doing a bit of marketing, he's doing a bit of delivery, the plumbing stuff, he's doing a bit of sales because he's got to take the money at the end and so on. He's got to get her agreement to do it, which is in effect a verbal contract. So there's the sales component. Then he delivers, does the plumbing and so on, and then he's got to fill in the form, which is admin. But we're going to not break all that up across marketing, sales, delivery, and admin. We're just going to put it into doing a service job, right? Conduct a service job would have all of that in it. So don't get, if you're doing a mind map, don't get confused and think, I've got to only, all the sales part has to be in sales and all the marketing bit has to be here. Just focus on the core way it works. Okay, this is how it works in our business. Put it in delivery. And so on. So we do that, and then we can easily map from that. Okay, so this is a great tool. We go in and we use it like it is there. You can see we put a bit of color coding. We could go through there now, and we could add icons to things. So I can say, oh, you know what, we don't actually do this at the moment, but that's a really good idea. I think I should put an icon on that. So I'm just going to put a little light bulb there, which tells me that. Anyone heard of the next Monday rule? Good, because I invented it. I haven't told you yet. Okay, the next Monday rule says this. We'll look at something now, and in this context, we know what it means, correct? If I said now, guys, every time I say bluegrass, that means you've got to raise your left arm and do that. And you would understand that and remember it today. It has no meaning. It's not sensible at all. Outside this forum, we wouldn't even know what that meant. But if I said bluegrass any time today, you'd go, and so on, whatever it was. A little bit like hypnosis, isn't it? Bluegrass. No, it's all right. Okay, so the trouble is next Monday, we get them and say, hey, what was that thing that stupid guy said? What was it he said? What was it? And we don't remember. Is that true? Does it happen to you too? Or is it just aging, whatever, me? Okay, it happens to all of us. So in context, we remember. Take away the context and we forget. So the next Monday rule is important. So we try to avoid, when you're doing a mind map, try to avoid putting down things which are jargon, too full of jargon. Try to avoid putting down words that you use but no one else does, and so on. So when I'm working with a client, if they say purchasing, and I know they really mean procurement, I'll write down purchasing, because it doesn't matter. If we were working at a table, so I'm working with you guys, and we're working at the table and someone says, Patrick says, oh, yeah, that goes in purchasing. No, Patrick, that's actually procurement. What have I just said to Patrick? Shut up. Okay? And then someone else says something. No, that's the wrong place. It doesn't go there. What have I just said? Shut up. How many times do you get told shut up before you will actually shut up? You say, oh, forget this, I'm going to count the light globes. 1, 2, 3. How long? It doesn't take too many shut ups, does it? So when we're working with our team, we want to make sure that we're not saying shut up at all. We're not going to judge, we're not going to assess, we're just going to put it down. Often when we're working on a mind map, someone will say something and they'll say it goes in sales and it's actually in marketing or vice versa, because people confuse the two all the time, okay? Okay, so they'll say it and then someone might look at me and say, I think that's wrong, isn't it? In effect, just with their eyes. And I know it's wrong and they know it's wrong, but we don't say anything. And then halfway through the day, that person says, oh, you know how I put that in sales? I think that should actually go in marketing. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, let's put it in marketing. Zoop, all fixed. But now we've got learning instead of inhibition. Instead of telling them, shut up, you're wrong, now we've got, oh, wow, now I know what marketing really is, and so on. This is often the first time anyone sees their business in its entirety. This is often the first time somebody can see what the roles actually do in the business. Because before that, they just had titles. They drew a little org chart, and the org chart looks so pretty. And they don't mean anything. We've got titles on there which are great for the public but mean nothing internally. Org charts should be based on function. This is where function is. Do you notice everything we're doing there, we're using a verb. We're saying it is about nurture leads. So it's not lead management. Could you lead management, please, Patrick? Sorry, it's horrible when I know your name. Someone already said that today, but I'm going to say it again. Okay, could you create a purchase order? Could you send purchase order to supplier? Could you manage artwork approval? Those things I can actually understand. Can you see how using the verb makes it clear? So in system, we will always write things with a verb. Okay, I'm going to come back just to finish off, and I want to just come back to one little slide right at the very end of this, because the next thing we do is going to be jumping into using some little post-it notes and mapping the process. We might end up something like this, for instance. You know, there are a couple little rooms we've done. We redecorated them. But I don't want to show you that. I wanted to show you this. So where is slideshow? Where's it gone? Why is slideshow gone? Shift function F5. I don't want to go there. It'll take me right back to the beginning. Who's John Tonkin? Come back. Okay, here we go, and there. Okay, so I want to just show you this one, because this is the question everyone used to ask me and I wasn't sure quite how to answer it. And for about the last 5 years, I've been really clear on how to answer it. Again, if we think of children, so for those who have had them and those who have seen them, we all were those, we know that from having children, what you allow to happen today will happen again tomorrow. And next week, it's totally normal. Try and undo it. Correct? Yeah. Who's seen that? Everyone? Yep. So you can't undo it once you've allowed it. You know, what we allow, we condone, and so on. So it's a bit like that. We want to get away from that. We want to turn it round. If you saw your child they're about to put their hand on a saucepan that you know is red hot. What would you do? He'll learn. He'll never do it again. He'll learn from experience. I'm happy for him to do that. Who's going to do that one? That's deep end swimming lessons, right? Okay, so it's not a good thing to do, is it? What we should do, we would stop them, correct? Because it's the wrong thing. In your business, if you see somebody about to do the wrong thing, why wouldn't you stop them? Why do we know people are doing the wrong thing and we say, oh, shit, he's doing it again. Oh, geez, could someone tell him to stop doing? I hear all those sorts of things. Why don't we just go up there and say, hey, we're not making them bad or wrong, they're just doing something wrong. Why wouldn't we just go up and say, hey, can I hold you there, please? I thought we'd agreed that we're doing it this way. Can you just go through what you think it is and get the understanding, get that level of understanding back there? Maybe come back to the system, walk it through, and then go on. Again, remember, no one woke up this morning thinking they want to break anything or damage anything. So let's work with that. Let's keep the atmosphere positive. Come on, Johnny, walk, etc. Okay, so we're just going to do that. So when somebody does something wrong, if we've given them the right systems, if we've given them the right training, they can do the work. It's up to them with that systems and training in place and their knowledge and beautifulness to then prioritize the work, do it in the right order, and then check their work. Everything that I hand to you, me the worker, and I hand it to you has a little stamp on it that says made by John, made by John, made by me. And you've got to get that idea in the guys, in your people in the team. Made by me. So when they give it to you, what's the first thing you're going to do is to say, oh, thank you. Yeah, you've done that. Hang on. Check it. It's not okay. Hang on. You haven't done this. Could you just do that? Not, oh, he's done it again and get angry. Not, I'll do it for him. Oh, you haven't done this, please. Could you just do that? Give it back to me when you've done it. Thank you. What am I doing now? Training. I hear people say all the time, oh, if only people would pay on time. I used to carry a little mirror in a manila folder. I'm serious. One of those little cheap Chinese mirrors, pink plastic backing. It broke. A couple of people got annoyed. I stopped using it. But I used to take it there and they'd say, oh, if only those bastards would pay on time. I say, yeah, I actually know the problem. Here's the solution. And they'd open it up and there's a and so on, get funny. But we train people to pay late. We train people not to pay us on time. We train people to put things in the wrong place. We train people to, etc., by not confronting every breach. 3 most important words you could learn today from my session, possibly from this weekend, possibly in your life. Confront every breach. If somebody is doing the wrong thing, why would we let them? If somebody's about to take off without the right fuel in the plane or something, we wouldn't let them. If somebody's about to ruin my business, I won't let them. If somebody's about to do anything that is not the right thing, stop them. Do it politely, do it correctly, don't make them bad, don't make them wrong, but don't let it happen. So we either confront every breach and say, just do it, please, fix that and give it back, or we're back round the hill, coming back, it must be a systems problem, or it must be a training problem. Does that sound about right? So that's all it is. It's as simple as that. Confront every breach. That's the systems way of work. We have a system, we've built our systems, we train our systems, we give people support to do the right thing. If they're not the right person, get rid of them. Do it properly, do it correctly, do it lawfully. But don't keep them, because if they are the right person, they're following the system, they will learn, they'll be coachable. You can go back and say, hey, can I just show you what we agreed? And so on, and walk it through doing that. Does that sound sensible? So we have now covered all the theory bit that I really want to do. In our next session, we're going to pick somebody from the floor, actually from a chair. Floor's later today. We're going to pick somebody from a chair. We're going to work on something on their business. I'm going to show you what I do every day of the week. I'm going to show you every phase of it right through to the end. Okay, and we'll do all that in that time, 75 minutes. Is there anyone looking forward to that? Because if you're not, I'm just going to go home early. Who would like to see that? 3 people, good. Okay, it's worth doing. Okay. Good. I can accept that. Okay, so we're wrapping up now. Am I right on time? I'm not. I'm early. I'm just going to go a little bit further on this. Just one little example here. It's going to take about half an hour now. Okay, so somebody is doing something wrong. In the bakery, so I've worked in about 5 or 6 different bakeries. Someone is about to, even just something as basic as not knocking the bread down. I've got video, I can show you later if you like, of how people knock the bread out and so on and do the bread. Everyone does it differently. And they're all standing there saying, he does it the wrong way, this is the way to do it. He does it wrongly, this is the way you should do it, and so on. They all do that. But the whole thing is, if somebody were doing, that's just variation within. So we're not trying to take away that expertise, but we're trying to make sure that the things that have to happen systematically happen. Because that same guy who allows the variation between the way Fred does it and the way Bill does it and the way Marianne does it is going to be the same person who is weighing the yeast and the different flours down to the milligram, down to the gram, whatever, not milligram, jeez, down to the gram, right? They do. They'll be making, we did a little app for them that helps them calculate how much of each type of dough they need. So here they're talking about 60 kilos of that, 47 kilos of that, 120 kilos of that. And then they take that measurement because they do use, this dough is used for 3 different types of bread and so on, right? And all that. But they have to make it up, and every one of those is calculated right to the gram. Because if they don't get it right to the gram, what have they got? Inconsistency. All the things we don't want. We said it right at the very beginning. So that's what they do. So if somebody is going a little bit loose with the yeast or a little bit loose with the bread improver or whatever it is they're putting it in, and so on, putting in, this place was anyway, forget it, we'll confront the breach. And when I was filming, just going in there with my phone, just putting something there to put on their Google site, somebody said, hey, make sure that's knocked out properly, because someone didn't do it. And so on, they're just capturing it. It's just a confront every breach. But can you see things where you have confronted every breach in your business? Who can think of something in the last week where they've said, hey, can I just stop you? That's the wrong way to do it, or whatever. Anyone? No. So I'm going to ask the next question. Who can think of something in the last week or so where they should have stopped something happening? A couple nods, winks, and subtle movements at the head. Okay, it happens all the time. We all come across those things. We see it with our kids. Someone doesn't put the lid properly on the Vegemite. Jeez. And so on. Put the lid on the Vegemite! How many times have I told you? And so on. That's making them bad and wrong. So we don't do that. I'm just trying to wake you up. All right? What we would be doing would be to say, hey, put the lid on. That's right. Otherwise, someone will pick it up and it'll fall on the floor and break. We give them a reason and so on. How many minutes have I got? 3 minutes. I'm going to tell you about calm discipline. This comes from the world of education, but I see it the same thing in business. And it comes from the game of basketball, men's basketball. When somebody is bouncing the ball along and so on, I'm not going to try and run. But when they do that, and if they travel, what happens? And in that time, the error has been recognized. Everyone knows what it is because they can recognize the hand signals. And then the whistle blows again, and the ball is now going the other way. And it's just magic, isn't it? Here's the error. We follow that error through, we correct it, and the ball goes the other way, and everything happens. No one said, come here, Jim. Now, Jim, how do you think it'd be if everyone did what you just did? We don't do that because it's meaningless. If everyone knows the rules, the way it works, just blow the whistle and get on with it. Confront every breach, and that's it. Thank you. Good.